Welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller, where we are giving the future. Today, we're going to be talking about
the unbalanced. The whole universe, well, actually, our planet is unbalanced, and the people follow the unbalanced planet.
So we, the unbalanced. And it starts with a meditation that we did yesterday that left us a little unnerved. And then today, we did another meditation and had a lesson that gave more clarity and understanding and helped to make us a little more at ease with this topic.
For what it's worth, yeah.
Because we're going to delve into the negative realm for a little bit.
Yeah, I heard the word several times, aquafarius, and I couldn't understand. I know aqua means some water, but the aquafarius, we had to find the definition of that.
And it means to bear or to carry water, transport water, to move water.
Adjustment of water is coming.
And
well, actually, it's here. The drought is causing adjustment of water. The need for water is growing more and more every year.
So we were told many years ago that there would be a change in the rain patterns. So meaning that areas that were traditionally arid would become wet. Areas that receive more water would become drier.
More arid,
so there would be a shifting of the waters, and we're seeing that today. So they go on with this lesson yesterday.
So they said gravitatorius to the coming.
So it's gravitating, this adjustment of water is gravitating to where we're headed.
And how we're going to handle this situation, if we do handle it. So we can, and they said, the entities outside of this planet, they cannot interfere with the process.
And there's a process to all these changes. They just don't happen overnight.
So basically, negative forces overtaken this sphere.
And so this is where we're getting into the negative part.
So they will be balanced by those that are already here. And we've heard many stories about those that are already here, but they will balance the coming. A precocious movement of understanding will prevail. What does that word precocious mean?
So this is another, our spiritual guides use more of a fluid language. They use our Greek and Latin root words. They also use universal words, and they take those root words and they put them together and construct new words that deliver the meaning that they are intending.
You know,
so it may not be in our dictionary, but the meaning is there as long as we can figure out how to spell it.
We had gotten this some years ago, a cleansing. So this is kind of a second or third time we've got it that it's coming. We first got this probably about 2008. So this cleansing movement is about to happen.
Yes, and so we've been told many, many times that the oceans would return to where they existed in ancient times. So, for example, Salt Lake City used to be an ocean, and we are expecting the ocean to return to that area.
All this will be to balance the sphere, this planet.
Yes. And so purg, getting back to purgocious, purg, P-U-R-G, means cleansing. And then the guides gave us a more definitive definition and said that purgocious means cleansing movement to balance. So they're talking about this water cleansing the earth and also to bring balance. So the cause of those in charge of this time, this was a question about leadership around the world and where this is all heading. What is their motive of operation? And the answer, do you want to
was
answer that?
world domination through the power of a negative force of dominance.
So we have a lot of negative entities in charge today, and they are directing changes toward world domination.
Yeah, and what we have to do is think about what is considered negative and what is considered positive, because that's used quite a bit in the languages around the world.
And a lot of people have their own conception of what positive and negative means. It usually has a meaning that makes one feel uncomfortable or feels good. But in the spirit realm, when they talk about positive, it is always about the enlightenment process, the sharing of information, and the respect of free will,
one another, yeah,
and sovereignty and self-expression. But on the negative side, it's just the opposite of that. So it is the control of information,
not understanding,
control of understanding.
yeah.
So that in the spirit realm is how positive and negative are viewed, and that includes positive and negative entities.
And she asked, when they asked, the question was, well, how long do we have to endure this if we know there is an intervention coming? In other words, how much time do we have to sit here and wait, and you feel like you're waiting forever? The answer was,
so their direct answer was procedural aspect. Time is irrelevant. And so they're telling us that this is a procedural process, and it comes in sequential steps. Time is not a factor. It is one step follows the next, or I'm sorry, one step follows the previous. So it takes as long as it needs to get it done.
we can't force it.
Right.
It has to go by the universal procedure to do this. And then they use a quailing of the ages.
And so, of course, I think of quail the bird, but, I had to dig out the dictionary, the unabridged dictionary. And of course, there's another definition for quail, which means to lose heart or courage in difficulty or in danger, or to shrink with fear.
And is that what the human race is kind of going towards now? Shrinking with fear?
Yeah, we're fearful mainly because of fear of the unknown, because there's so many changes going on that our mind tends to take it and run with it, and it always tends to go toward fear mode, right?
We don't look what the truth or what the true meaning of something is and understanding. We go with what we think it might mean and then run with it. And most of the time that's wrong. So this left us a little bit unnerved.
Yeah. So this morning, a nice channeling came through, and it gave much more clarity to it and brought that stress level down from the previous message. And what we came to understand is that this is all about balance. So when we're talking about the earth and earth balance, and all the inhabitants on earth, everything is out of balance at this time. The earth, even the galaxy, and going further out in the universe to varying degrees, everything we have been told is out of balance, and periodically everything needs to be adjusted to bring it back into balance. And that includes adjusting the orbits. So there are ciphers of the creator that calculate the mathematical curvature of an orbit, and sometimes those have to be changed as well.
You got to figure they've discovered a huge amount of galaxies recently in the universe, much more than they ever dreamed or thought. And all this has to be in balance because planets will run into each other, collide, galaxies will collide and destroy each other. There's many things can happen in this universe. So it has to remain in balance as much as possible to keep
Yeah.
this catastrophe from happening.
And, interestingly enough, is our scientists here on Earth do understand that concept, but they don't understand and have not been given the knowledge that there are actually beings out there that work to calculate the balancing of these orbits so that planets don't collide.
Yeah.
And we're being told that that is absolutely correct.
You have to remember everything in the universe is interconnected, even though we don't see it. We don't, oh no, we can't be connected to this other galaxy or whatever. Everything is interconnected.
And so as inhabitants on this planet, when the Earth is out of balance, our DNA is dialed into the Earth vibration. And that means that we will become out of balance. And so will animals and all the little insects and butterflies, what have you. Everything on the Earth comes out of balance when the Earth is out of balance.
We can see that happening now.
And so we humans, as humans, we follow the Earth vibration. And we cannot attain true balance as long as the Earth is out of balance. So that is why the Earth is changing and it's trying to balance itself at this time. And you can see it in things such as the earthquakes. We have a lot of earthquakes that are up in the 6 magnitude range currently. Earth is trying to balance itself.
Yeah, and over millennia, the Earth, and we're just speaking about the Earth right now, but all planets are fit in this category, slowly move out of orbital balance. And which causes many things to happen. The sun, CMEs implode, new nebula are formed, different things happen constantly within the universal structure. So all these changes that happen create a slight imbalance in the weights and movements of these different objects
in space.
Yes, so the planets become out of balance, especially we kind of help accelerate it from what we've done to this planet.
Right. So even humans don't realize it, but we are constantly trying to balance everything that we make and we build here. It's all about that everything needs to be in balance. When you think about what we're constructing, it'll topple over if it's not in balance. So, and that applies to from the smallest cylinder to the largest item that is made.
The machine
it all
parts,
has to be
right.
in balance
The
to
part
work.
is not balanced, the machine will go out of balance and destroy itself. You've got to try to balance everything, get it to work right.
So what does this all have to do with the negative side when we're talking about Earth balance?
Well, man or humanity has given the unbalanced side various names throughout the ages, creating their own fears of what they don't understand.
And the guide said that it's like a child that says that there's a boogeyman in the closet. You know, we have this fear of something there, presence there that we don't understand.
Right. We don't understand, or we are too afraid to understand it. So
to look at it.
And so she asked the question, why have so many people gravitated toward the negative side? There seems to be more and more people gravitating toward the negative side than the positive side.
Yes, and it's creating an imbalance in itself.
Right.
And so what the guide answered was confusion of what it means in reality, the unborn recognition of themselves. So the people that are gravitating toward negative things they're actually looking for themselves.
What society has done over hundreds, if not thousands of years, has done and told them misdeeds, made people think it's true. Now people are becoming to distrust society as a whole. And so
And
it has created this new imbalance.
but also society tends to impose a belief system on people, on the those that are the commoners. So
I mean, all people.
and it's not aligned to truth. So it's like the truth of who we are has been distorted by societal norms and belief systems that have been imposed upon us.
So people will either they idolize the elitist or they idolize those that worship the negative side. Both of these sides, the elitist and the negative side, are unbalanced. The elitists think they're balanced. They think they have all the money and all the wisdom that they don't have. And the one that worship the negative side think they are balanced, so they're going to win this game. But actually, both are unbalanced.
And in reality, nobody is balanced because of the fact that Earth is still out of balance. So it is impossible for humanity to reach that perfect state of balance because Earth itself is not in balance yet.
So we have to discover the true balance as much as we can within ourselves. And we keep saying this over and over for many, many times. The true balance of discovery, and I've said this several times, once you have peace, then you get to know yourself. And you can live with mostly all those around you. But you have to attain peace within yourself.
Mm-hmm. And first of all, Earth has to create its own balance through what the guide calls, or the guide says that they call volcanic eruptions. And they've referred to it as an overture of balance.
Yeah, well, all these volcanic eruptions around the world is like release. To me, it seems like they're releasing
stress,
etc., and trying to balance itself.
Yeah. And when we look at the word overture, it means an initiating move toward a new relationship. So we're talking about a new relationship of balance that these volcanic eruptions are creating. That and the earthquake activity. And then later on, we're going to see all ice on the earth melting. So the polar ice caps, all glaciers will melt. And we've been told this for years. And that water will cover more of the earth's surface, and it will end up back in areas where oceans used to occupy, but have not for a long time.
Yeah, and this is all in conjunction with the native peoples of the world. When they're saying this fourth world must end in the fifth world, the new balanced world will come in existence. This fourth unbalanced world has to end. It can't because it will, if you take something so unbalanced, it will spin off of its orbit, or spin off of its platform, therefore creating havoc within its own neighborhood on the planets, which is creating havoc within the galaxy, etc. It snowballs, in other words, we're saying.
Yeah. And so the Earth's balance is going to include continued earthquake activity and volcanic activity. And then we've also been told that the orbit is going to be shifted at least to some degree, and that the axis is also going to shift back to almost 0 degrees, so that we won't have the wobble anymore, which is out of
Well,
balance, right?
The wobble will be so slight.
Yeah, it'll be like
Yeah, it's
around
like
2 to
within
5
of
degrees.
center.
Yeah.
So it will, as far as we're concerned, it'll be back in balance.
Mhm. And when that happens, then the way they explained it to us is that the water will create the conditions to stabilize the planet after it has moved. So if you think about water in a container, you know, you're going to have this movement back and forth of water until it finds its new location and creates stability in the Earth's rotation.
Then things will stabilize for
Mhm.
at least minimum of 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Before the process of unbalancing begins again. And it takes thousands, tens of thousands of years to
Mhm.
become unbalanced.
So each new cycle starts back in balance again, and we start at a new level of learning. And that's what it's all about. So each cycle has certain objectives of learning that need to be accomplished. And as we progress through that cycle, learning those lessons, we become more and more out of balance, and the earth becomes more and more out of balance, until which time a rebalancing has to occur before the next cycle begins, or the next era. And so everything has to be brought back in balance, and it starts with the earth. And then we have to attune ourselves to the new earth vibration. And it's going to take some work on our behalf to start to get ourselves to start putting the work value forward to learn at that higher level, to begin a new process of expanding enlightenment. And so it's going to take a little work on our behalf.
Yeah.
It's not something that is just going to happen by osmosis.
And they've told me many, many times, simplicity. We always go under assumption, the human race, and assume this or assume that. This is simplicity at its very core of how this takes place. We as humans make it more difficult.
Mhm. And so when the earth comes back into balance and humans have to start working toward rebalancing themselves, and of course it'll be a whole lot easier then, because the earth will be in balance. And then we attune to it. So gradually we will start to move back into balance, because everything is interconnected. And then we won't have so much of the extremes that are happening today. And people will be more in tune with who they are at the soul level, because we are completing this fourth dimensional learning that is where our soul resides.
Okay.
And that way, we won't see people searching for things of negative value.
So as water adjusts to the earth, as this happens and the earth becomes more rebalanced, you will see the land masses also move, because the land masses must move along, and the water displacing or replacing itself to create the balance on the surface of the earth.
Mhm. So this is the transformation. The transformation is all about rebalancing and moving to a higher level of learning and understanding and expanding consciousness. So going back to the beginning, this is where we're going to tie it back together again. How does the adjustment of water fit into this lesson on balance, which we've already explained? Right. As Earth changes, she must rebalance through landmass movement and through the surface movement of water.
Now, what about those? Those already here to balance the negative forces.
And so we asked about that, and they said that our guide said, others helping to release the unbalanced Earth, a conceptual agreement. And so you want to
Okay,
explain
they're
that?
gonna release the unbalanced. We are so unbalanced right now. They're gonna help release the procedure to rebalance the earth.
Okay,
So therefore, our attention should rest on trying to balance ourselves. As we balance ourselves and go within, going within sounds very difficult. Okay. Learning who you are within. In other words, try small amount of meditation, either every other day or once a week. Get into some kind of routine or habit of trying to get in touch with your higher self and reaching for that higher person and understanding. And by doing that, you'll begin to rebalance yourself as much as you can, because you can only balance complete balance when Earth completes her process
her
of
changes.
balancing.
Yeah, when she settles in. And so then we'll be able to start accelerating at a much faster rate in our level of understanding and spiritual evolution at that time, because they've told us that these first four dimensions are the hardest and take the longest to learn. And we've been in it for thousands of years in this cycle of learning about the first four dimensions.
Well, like the fourth world. How long we've been in the fourth world?
Well, probably since the Great Flood.
At least since the Great Flood. And now we're preparing for the fifth world, not the fifth dimension, for the fifth world. And the fifth world has to do with knowing yourself, and knowing yourself creates the balance, helps create the balance. And when we have this balance, then we gain everything I've been saying for many years: peace. Peace around us, peace around our environment. Those that are become unbalanced, you'll be able to comprehend and not put yourself in a position of tension and unreliability, but peace will get you through what's coming, and you'll accept it very much more easily with the understanding and wisdom that comes with that.
And so there'll be new teaching that'll come out of the fifth dimension, but we are not moving into the fifth dimension yet. And so as the earth begins to rebalance, we will be reaching for a higher state of enlightenment. But this is all steps in the process. It takes time, and we have to have some patience with this. Even Kent and I have some impatience, asking, how long do we have to endure this? And
well, it has not gotten to the pinnacle of what it's going to be yet.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So the chaos is becoming much more. That's why you have to create peace in not only in yourself, but around your sphere to get through this with
as much as you can.
To get through what we can.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be tough.
Because still we can't have total peace, or we can't have total balance if the earth is still rebalancing herself and she is not in balance. So we're going to have all these absurdities. We're going to have a lot of extremes, and we're going to have people that are searching for things that we wouldn't be normally searching for if we were in balance.
Take the smallest thing you hear about on the news every so often, where someone cuts another person off on the road, and then they get mad and they go after that person that cut them off, and they either try to cut them off or they shoot them or whatever. Create the peace within. If this person wants to cut you off and go fast down the road and act goofy, let him go, because it does not help you to refrain from your peace.
our ability to find balance will be difficult at best until the earth finds her balance. And we will know when we are there, when we have pervasive peace over the earth. So we will look forward to that
Yeah.
time.
Just keep smiling. Let that person go and do their thing, whatever that might be. You may not like it, but let them do it, because you have more important things in your life than to go after someone who irritates you.
So we hope that this helps in your understanding. Leave us a comment if you would below. Also, just for our newcomers, we do have 2 books. This is the first one, the Augmentation of Man series. This is a study in Renaissance. It's more about spirituality and our own personal path. Gives clarity to things, concepts like chakras and dimensions and things like that. And then The Acquiescence of Humanity is the second in the series, and this gives our history with extraterrestrials, genetic changes, where we're going as a humanity. They both cover various changes with the earth and within ourselves, within humanity, and that can be found on Amazon.
And we have enough information now to start a 3rd book in the series.
So I'm going to cut him off every time he starts talking about a 3rd book. Anyhow, we hope you have enjoyed this, and thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button below. Thank you. Have a great day.